social media for the latest in news and politics in South Africa. Like and follow our page on Facebook. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram and Twitter. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss out on anything. Be part of the conversation. Tell us what you think in the comment section. And please like and share our videos with your friends and family. The next broadcast will start shortly. If you care about South Africa and want to make a positive difference, then join the DA. Visit our website at da.org.za for more information. Find out who represents you in your ward and district and who are the DA mayors working for you in your town or city, and which MPs represent you and your causes in Parliament. On our website, you can learn more about our latest campaigns and how you can get involved. Join the Democratic Alliance to rescue South Africa. Become an activist, become a councillor, become a member of Parliament if you care about South Africa. Please visit donate.da.org.za. Donate to a cause you believe in. Donate to make a difference. Did you know the best run municipalities in South Africa are all governed by the DA? DA mayors are working hard to protect residents from national government failures by getting the basics right, delivering better services, and having zero tolerance for corruption. This is the DA difference. The next broadcast will start shortly. Follow us on social media for the latest in news and politics in South Africa. Like and follow our page on Facebook. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram and Twitter. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss out on anything. Be part of the conversation. Tell us what you think in the comment section. And please like and share our videos with your friends and family. The next broadcast will start shortly. If you care about South Africa and want to make a positive difference, then join the DA. Visit our website at da.org.za for more information. Find out who represents you in your ward and district and who are the DA mayors working for you in your town or city, and which MPs represent you and your causes in Parliament. On our website, you can learn more about our latest campaigns and how you can get involved. Join the Democratic Alliance to rescue South Africa. Become an activist, become a councillor, become a member of Parliament if you care about South Africa. Please visit donate.da.org.za. Donate to a cause you believe in. Donate to make a difference. Let's rescue South Africa. Join the DA, because the DA gets things done.
Power utility Eskom has confirmed that it has requested steep tariff increases from the National Energy Regulator.
Eskom has asked the National Energy Regulator of South Africa for a whopping 36% increase.
There is growing outrage over Eskom's proposed 36% electricity tariff hike.
Eskom's tariff hike proposal has outraged consumers who say it is too high and unaffordable. There are growing calls for government to intervene.
The suggested increase could have substantial repercussions for South African households and businesses.
Eskom has increased electricity prices by 450% since 2007, placing unbearable financial strain on South African households and businesses.
The proposal has faced immediate backlash, with the Democratic Alliance urging its rejection.
Residents are paying the price for government's inefficiencies.
Now, what this does is it incentivizes those inefficiencies at Eskom, because it says, well, Eskom, if you don't do your job properly, you can claw that money back from the consumers in the next financial year. And that's really not fair.
We are having to bear the cost of years and years of Eskom being run badly, and now you're passing that on to the consumer.
I don't know what can I say, but this is not good.
The prices are already high. 100 rand, we get like 20 units, so it's bad for us. So you were right here, Geordin.
Right.
Teixeira, you were here.
Okay.
Rabie, there.
The middle.
Yes, yes. You were right next to Teixeira.
Won't let me use them.
No, I had to take mine. I'm going to look like this on camera. You guys can take your seats. All right. Top of the afternoon. Good afternoon, colleagues. For those of you joining us here today, thank you so much for availing yourselves for this opportunity. For those of you who are joining us online, hello and thank you for tuning in. We are coming to you live from the Drakenstein wastewater treatment plant. My name is Karabo Khakhau, DA National Spokesperson. The purpose of today's briefing is very short and clear. Since 2007, the South African government has increased the cost of electricity by 450%. And as if that's not enough, we are now looking at an additional 40% hike. This is something that South Africans cannot simply afford. The cost of living is already too expensive as it is. It cannot be that South Africans must choose between putting food on the table and having the lights on. But we are not just tired of this, and as the Democratic Alliance, we're not just complaining about this. We do have tangible solutions that we in local government are going to be tabling here today. And that is why here with me, I'm joined by some of our DA executive mayors and government. I'm going to introduce the panel. On my immediate left, I'm joined by the chairperson of our federal council, that is Mayor Helen Zille. Next to her is the executive mayor of our DA-governed Midvaal municipality in Geordin, that is Ndate Peter Teixeira. Next to Ndate Peter is our Democratic Alliance executive mayor for the Drakenstein municipality, that is Ndate Stephen Korabie. I got that, I was there. And then on my immediate right, we have the executive mayor of the city of Cape Town, that is Geordin Hill-Lewis. And next to Geordin, we have the executive mayor of our Overstrand municipality, that is Mayor Annelie Rabie. So they're all going to respectively table their solutions for their own municipalities. But we'll first start with Helen, and then after that, we'll have a Q&A session, which will be followed by a one-on-one. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karabo, who is our national spokesperson, as you all know. And thank all of you for coming out quite a distance today. I've done some strange things in my political life, as you know, but not many more strange things than having a press conference at a sewage farm. And so we wouldn't easily bring you out here. Thank you very much indeed. But we do have a good story to tell at a rather strange place. And it is a story of innovation, of the kind of problem solving that DA governments have become renowned for. And the critical problem we're trying to solve is the shortage of electricity and the exorbitant cost of electricity, especially for poor people. That is our commitment. Local government is responsible for reticulating energy, but not generating energy. Generating energy was always the responsibility of the national government until Eskom, the monopoly that it is, managed to rack up R500 billion worth of debt. That's almost 500 million rands worth of debt, not through providing good infrastructure and services and generating enough electricity for South Africa's needs, but doing just the opposite, ensuring that we were producing less and less electricity at a higher and higher price, especially for the poor. Now, in that context, as the local government, you don't just sit there and say, well, I'm terribly sorry, we can't reticulate electricity because the central government is not fulfilling its mandate of generating electricity. We said we have to find a new way of generating electricity so that our local governments can fulfill their constitutional mandate of taking that generated electricity and get it to the people. And we're here today because that is exactly what the local government is doing here today. You'll see that surrounding you, there's a lovely view of a sewage pan there that the ducks seem quite happy to be swimming on. So it must be quite well cleaned by now. And here you see these wonderful sun panels. And these sun panels generate 990 kilowatt hours of electricity every month, is it? Every day. Okay, there we go. At full capacity, it produces 990 per month, but 1.4 million kilowatt hours a year. Now, that's a lot. And I got that statistic before. I got it from the gentleman who's just spoken now, before, and he told me that yesterday was a good day, so it really generated a lot of electricity. And what that saved this plant just for yesterday was 13,000 Rand. That is the saving that they generated here that they would otherwise have had to pay buying electricity to run this sewage plant. And of course, the more money you save, the more you save on the cost for the consumer down the line, because that is what we are absolutely committed to doing. When we generate our own electricity and when we save money, we want to help our consumers. And so what we are actually looking at is 380 houses by the surplus energy that this particular plant sells back to the municipality or feeds into the municipality's grid. It supports 380 houses getting full electricity per year. So that is the kind of calculation that the city does. We've got a plant to run, it takes a lot of electricity. We've got space, we've got sun. Generate the electricity, run your plant, and save 13,000 Rand a day. You don't use all your electricity, you sell some back to the municipality that can pass on the benefit to other consumers. And so over the long term, as we do that, and as more and more of our facilities generate their own electricity and pump the surplus back into the grid, and more households do that, when you've got the economies of scale, you can provide the alternative to Eskom in hundreds of thousands of small-scale generators who are feeding into the grid and then can pass the cross-subsidy on to the poor. And so that's exactly the innovation that has been happening here in the city of Cape Town and in all the municipalities that you see in front of you and many more. And the one thing they have in common is that they are DA run, because this was an idea that was born a long time ago. What you're seeing here is ideas that were conceptualized at least 10 years ago, planned for, and for which the regulatory environment was put in place, coming to fruition. And we are really delighted to be able to celebrate that here today with mayors who are all doing that in different ways in their municipalities. And that is what we call the DA difference. This is the idea that when you have a problem, you use it as a reason to find an innovative solution. And that is what drives progress. So when I was the Premier of the Western Cape, we realized that we had a big water problem, number one, and we had a big electricity problem. And so we spent a lot of energy putting together the regulatory environment for the entire province to be able to be sure that all the municipalities would be able to simply slip into line and start these kinds of projects because the law and regulations made provision for them, especially for this idea called wheeling. And wheeling is a very important innovation whereby you take the surplus energy generated in one place and you send it across the grid to another place for use there. And not only the state institutions like this one do the generation and the wheeling, but many, many private businesses are now doing it too. And more households are generating sufficient electricity for their own needs and selling their surplus back. And so this has been a wonderful innovation for South Africa. And I've just been at the Africa Summit in London, where I was privileged to have been asked to make an input. And I heard people talk a lot about the just energy transition. And when I spoke to people about what it meant, I realized that we are actually well in advance of the just energy transition. And it wasn't because anybody had to prompt us and persuade us and incentivize us. We were forced because Eskom collapsed to find alternatives and to do that with great innovative speed and great commitment and incredible partnerships between the private sector, individual households, and the local government. And this plant, what you see here, is an absolute leader in the way of that. So instead of consuming a lot of electricity as wastewater treatment plants do, this wastewater treatment plant generates its own electricity, saves 13,000 Rand a day in doing so, and pumps a lot of electricity back for use by other people. And that is why, slowly but surely, Cape Town and other municipalities run by the DA could offer you 2 load shedding stages lower than Eskom. And that is a very large part of the reason why today we don't have load shedding anymore. Because these kinds of partnerships have come in to make an absolutely massive difference to feeding electricity into the grid. Now you're going to hear from the only municipality in Gauteng that doesn't owe Eskom any money because they're paid up. That's Teixeira, Midvaal, and you're going to hear from our Mayor Korabie from Drakenstein, our Mayor Rabie. We've got Korabie and Rabie, don't get confused. Rabie from Overstrand, and then of course Geordin Lewis from the city of Cape Town. But they're not the only places. In Khakhau, which is in the Eastern Cape, it's a DA-run municipality. The DA government is on track to launch a 20-megawatt solar PV plant as well as a storage solution. And of course, storage solutions are going to revolutionize the generation of electricity, because one of the very big problems is that we cannot store the energy that we generate, or we could not do that before. And with the new storage solutions, it's going to be revolutionary in trying to achieve more economies of scale and more advantages for the people who need to be serviced most. In Langeberg, small-scale embedded generation agreements have been made with private households, businesses, industry, and the agricultural sector to allow solar installations to feed into the grid. In Saldanha Bay, there is a tender out to appoint an independent power producer that can take on the management of 100% of the grid for the entire municipal area. 100% of the grid on the entire municipal area. And that is really very important because the grid is the nerve center, the highway around which this works. So that's very, very important to have a good functioning grid, and an independent power producer is going to take over the management of the grid. In Cape Agulhas, we're on track to undertake its first grid study to identify all the alternative energy it can bring on board, with the sole purpose of obtaining electricity at a cheaper rate and making the supply to its town more reliable and feasible. And in Stellenbosch has just awarded a 20-megawatt independent power producers tender for a solar facility which will enable electricity to be purchased at a lower price than it can from Eskom. And crucially, that helps the poor people most. And in Mossel Bay, we've launched a microgrid project aimed at establishing municipal-owned electricity generating plants to keep key infrastructure going, just as this is today. So these are happening all over the place in DA-run municipalities. And I was invited to a very important breakfast hosted by the Financial Times and Standard Bank in London, where we were speaking about the just energy transition and what is needed to make it happen. And I was very humbled to see how far advanced these municipalities are in driving a just energy transition with very much less of the hype and pressure and drama that is happening around the rest of the world. They are just doing it. And it is going to make an enormous difference. As Eskom has to pay its R500 billion of debt, it retrieves that from the consumers who have paid once for Eskom's corruption, and now they have to pay twice to pay back Eskom's corruption. And we, feel that that is entirely unfair, and we've taken it upon ourselves at local government level to go beyond our constitutional mandate so that we can fulfill our constitutional mandate and so that we can make a just energy transition, we can generate electricity, we can reticulate that electricity, and we can gradually and with great determination bring down the cost of electricity for poor people. Because we don't believe it is right or fair that poor families have to choose between buying food for their children or buying electricity. And so we, as DA governments, committed to the poor and doing everything we can to ensure growth and jobs for the poor and affordable living for poor people, have made the energy transition to self-generation one of our key priorities in government. And you're going to hear from some of my really excellent colleagues exactly how they're doing that. And I'd like to first ask the only municipality paid up to Eskom in the whole of Gauteng, and according to every set of statistics and analytics, the best run municipality in Gauteng, Peter Teixeira, the DA Mayor of Midvaal.
Thank you so much, Helen. Greetings to the members of the media that are present here, all the mayors, Helen, to you too. I thought when Helen introduced me, the members of the media would clap, but they seem very upset, so it's okay. So as Helen has indicated that Midvaal is one of the longest DA-run governments in Gauteng, and we are the only municipality in Gauteng with a clean audit by the Auditor General. And we are one of the municipalities in the country that is that has been rated by Ratings Africa as the most financially sustainable within the country. Now, I recently embarked on an integrated development plan public meeting across the municipality. And I spoke to thousands of residents in every corner of Midvaal, and I asked them what are their needs and what can government do for them and what are some of their challenges that they experience daily as South Africans, but also as residents of Midvaal. And there was one thing in common. Every community complained about the high tariffs that have been instituted by NERSA as well as Eskom. Our residents are already feeling the increase of 12.7% that kicked in on the 1st of July 2024. So I truly don't understand how can Eskom apply for a 40% increase in the next 2 to 3 years, where people are already suffering, and the people that are suffering the most are the most vulnerable people within our community, who are the poor people. Now, electricity has become a luxury in this country. And we as a government, as a DA-led government, we said we're not going to sit back and watch Eskom do as they please. And we're not going to allow them to punish our residents, as well as South Africans, because of their mismanagement, corruption, and everything else over the years that they have done wrong. This is why 5 years ago, we did a study on our electricity grid across the municipality to understand exactly what do we need to do to increase the capacity, number one, because Midvaal municipality is one of the fastest growing municipalities in the country, where we're seeing a lot of investment coming in. But the second part was to see how can we be less reliant on Eskom. Because at the time, we realized that Eskom was not going to get any better. They just have no plan. And we then, with the study that we did, we then found out that we would need around 800 million rands to ensure that we become less reliant on Eskom. And this is when we then approached the Development Bank of South Africa, DBSA, if they could assist us to fund a feasibility study to see if we can explore different alternative energy sources. And DBSA then agreed with us, and they funded our feasibility studies. So now we're currently embarking on a PPP, public-private partnership, which is a 20-year deal, where we'll get a concessionaire who will operate the entire electricity network within Midvaal. But within that PPP is an element of IPPs, which is up to 50%, which the concessionaire has to procure from IPPs. And I think this is something that will assist us, number one, as a municipality to remain financially sustainable, but will also reduce the cost of electricity to our residents of Midvaal. And I can tell you now, I'm not selling you a pipe dream. As we speak, it's currently at the procurement stage. It's advertised as we speak. So over and above the PPP, we said while we await for procurement, we started installing solar power, solar panels to all of our sewer plants that we have in Midvaal, all our sewer pump stations, our water plants, to ensure that even when load shedding does come back, we are still able to provide basic services to our residents. Midvaal Council also approved a SACG policy last year, which also now allows our residents that are off the grid or those that are producing their own energy already to feed back into the system and where we can credit them. This is all because we understand we need to protect our residents against this failing Eskom. And I want to assure all of our residents in Midvaal that we are committed to ensuring that we protect them. We are committed to ensuring that we continue growing as a municipality and we attract investment and we boost the economy of Midvaal and we deal with this high unemployment rate that is facing this country. And as I indicated in my opening remarks, the poor are really suffering. So what we did in the beginning of the year, we said, let us assist our poor communities, and we provided them with energy-saving bulbs. These are in our underprivileged areas where we gave out over 2,000 energy-saving bulbs to our residents so that they can get a reduced, or their cost for electricity can be reduced. This is just part of our efforts to ensure that we protect the most vulnerable within our community. So there's still a lot of work that we will be doing, but I want to assure every resident in Midvaal that we are here to ensure that they are protected against the failing Eskom. Thank you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Korabie. I'm the Executive Mayor of Drakenstein, and I'm here to present the views of the citizens and residents of Drakenstein. And the views that I'm going to share with you is after extensive consultation with our people in Drakenstein. I'm representing them and they say, this is the mandate that we are giving you. Go and carry it over to the rest of South Africa. But before I get there, let me first make this statement. If we want to measure the level of development of any society, then we have to look at how does that society take care of those people who can least fend for themselves. South Africa is one of the most unequal countries in the world. And if we look at the price increases that is awaiting us for next year, 40%, that gap is going to widen. The rich will be able to pay for the electricity and the poor won't be able. I spoke to one of the ladies yesterday in the shop while she was checking the prices, and she said and I spoke to her about the electricity price hike of next year, preparing to come here today, and she said, you know, one of the things that's going to happen, I will have to decide, am I going to buy food or am I going to buy electricity? That is a situation that South Africans, the people of Drakenstein, is currently facing. And that brings me to the following. This proposed electricity price increase has sparked significant concern nationwide, especially for its potential impacts on vulnerable households and small businesses. For Drakenstein residents, the implications are stark. 10 rand currently buys only 4.3 units of electricity for a household with a 20 amp connection. But after the 36% increase, that would drop to 3.1 units. This increase will further strain small businesses, leading to higher consumer prices and greater financial pressures on our households. Recognizing the serious impact, Drakenstein municipality organized a public march, a peaceful march we organized, and conducted detailed analysis highlighting the severe economic and social consequences for our community. The municipality conveyed a clear message to NERSA and the national government after our consultation that the proposed increase is unsustainable and unfairly burdens our residents. We cannot accept it. Drakenstein has a strong track record of protecting our residents from the full impact of Eskom's rate hikes. For instance, despite Eskom's 12.7% increase this financial year, the Drakenstein municipality limited the increase passed on to users to 8.5%. This commitment to absorbing some of the cost underscores the municipality's dedication to safeguarding our community. Drakenstein urges NERSA and Eskom to implement responsible management within Eskom and avoid passing on consequences of inefficiencies, incapacity onto the consumers. The municipality is also committed to long-term energy sustainability by facilitating the purchase of excess solar power from local producers, as has been discussed by my colleague. I formally objected to the increase in a letter to NERSA ahead of the public march which we organized in Drakenstein. While NERSA acknowledged the receipt, in-depth discussions have not yet occurred, and I doubt whether it will occur. They never came back to us. Drakenstein aligns with other Western Cape municipalities that had voiced similar concerns, bolstering the belief with us in Drakenstein that NERSA is aware of the widespread opposition towards this 36% increase. The municipality collaborates within the Western Cape through forums like the Municipal Managers Forum, the CFO Forum, and the Premier's Mayors Forum to develop collective strategies to address this unfairness that is taking place and awaiting us. Drakenstein provides electricity to over 48,000 households and implements one of South Africa's most supportive indigent policies, aiding approximately 16,000 households with up to 85 free units monthly and waiving basic charges for 20 and 30 amp electricity connections. But this cannot go on forever. And with the keep on increases that's taking place, it is going to hamper our municipalities' ability to provide services, effective services. And things are just sliding down if we allow this 40% to carry on. And we're pleading for soberness from government, from NERSA, from Eskom, to rethink this. This is serious business. We on the ground, we are walking on the ground amongst the people. We're talking to the people. We're sitting in their houses where there's no food. We know and understand what's going on there. But when you sit there on top and make 40% increases, I wonder, where are you from? Are you from South Africa or where are you from? To ensure reliable electricity, the municipality has, this is what we are doing now. We have installed diesel generators at all our municipal buildings, wastewater treatment plants, and pump stations. We have also implemented a UPS, uninterrupted power supply system, at 49 signalized traffic intersections, winning a silver award at the 2024 Western Cape Excellence Award. This is what we as municipalities are doing. And we need government to come to the table. You cannot just increase prices and then we must go and dig. We face the public. We face them when they don't have electricity. They stand queues there on Monday morning. Then I must go out and speak them to the incapacity and incompetency of a Eskom, a NERSA, and a government. And this needs to stop. We have also installed solar power systems with backup batteries at key offices and communication sites. Now, when we look into the future, if the increase is improved, ladies and gentlemen, municipalities, we at the local level, our options for mitigating the impact will be limited. Once it is true, it's true. That is why our call is to stop it, to reconsider. But Drakenstein remains committed to exploring solutions to support its residents. We will keep on going. We will keep on working hard. But we need assistance from decision makers to make it possible for us at local government to deliver the services as required in the Constitution and required by legislation. We need your assistance. You cannot, the way the 40% increase is being considered, it is like, don't you know what is happening on the ground? Don't you know about the unemployment in South Africa? Don't you know about the condition of the economy? And you still come and pack up 40% increase. You can pay it. We can't pay it. And where are you taking us to? So that is my mandated message from Drakenstein. And they are all listening and they are all watching. And I hope I did the job as requested and required for me. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Annelie, Rabie, the mayor of the most beautiful town in South Africa, one of the best run, called Overstrand, just over the mountain. Colleagues, I'm going to take a little bit of a different tack because what the colleagues have discussed here are things that all of us do to a bigger or a larger, smaller extent. But I really want to say to you, we fight about 40%. In my area, I don't think we will be able to even pay 15% more. Electricity has become completely unaffordable. And despite our best efforts to have, as Stephen has also said, one of the best indigent support policies, most probably in the country, still people take to the streets, burn the tires, close our roads, and then Eskom is nowhere. And so whilst we talk to NASA, I think we should not forget that the biggest problem is not NASA, the biggest problem is Eskom. Because if we increase with whatever percentage, just take this past year, how have their efficiency improved? If their efficiency has improved, why is it that areas in my town are often without electricity from anything between 24, 72 hours, even up to a week? And try and get hold of Eskom, I've got a better chance of getting hold of the devil. The reality on the ground is that Eskom is also not completely honest with us. This year, they said they increased it with 12.7%, but they restricted us to 10.04%.
Last year, they increased 18.5%, and they restricted us to 15.1%. So where does that additional 3% come from? I can only cross-subsidize within the service. And then I wish to dispel the notion that Eskom sells that municipalities are hiking their electricity tariffs in order to make rather large surpluses. Let me give you the reality check. A few years ago, double-digit surpluses were quite the order of the day. In 2022-23, in Overstrand, our surplus was 4.43%. 23-24, 3.48%. And it's envisaged that this year, 24-25, will only be 2.49%. I've got to make up the difference of Eskom. I've got to continue maintaining my services. I've got to pay extra salaries, not things that the municipality have control over, because many of those decisions are taken at a different level. And therefore, what they have, for example, done to us is to very unceremoniously transfer all the maintenance of streetlights to the municipality. Now, you may be aware that there is an ongoing court case between Salga and Eskom about the transfer of their lines and of the maintenance to the local municipality. Why is it an issue for us? 8 out of the 14 areas in Overstrand are so-called Eskom direct. I may not touch a line. I may not cut a tree that touches a line. I may not look at their maintenance. I may not replace any of their equipment. And so what that means is that it is translated into Overstrand not being able to fully subscribe to additional electricity options, because we're not generating more than 100 kilowatt hours. And therefore, we are looking at the city of Cape Town, and we're looking at the bigger Overberg to see whether we can't coordinate and have one energy council for the Overberg so that we can benefit on the economy of scale. But what worries me most is that increase the 40%. You're not going to get it because people cannot afford to buy it. So the consequence of that is illegal connections, is a loss of dignity. And the DA that I belong to is a party for dignity. How do you treat a baby that you can't heat the milk? How do you deal with disabled people, bedridden? I can't wash them because they can't afford to to heat their water. Is that fair? So my question is, whilst we're looking at all the other things, what has happened to the soul of the electricity supplier? Who's looking at that? Who's looking after the soul and the ability of people in South Africa to actually assist them in rendering a proper electricity service? Yes, Overstrand is also engaged on a policy of small-scale embedded generation. The uptake in my town is not exactly where I would have liked to have it, and it's predominantly as a result of the fact that the network is seriously impacted upon by the ownership of Eskom of more than 50% of the network. Then central to all of this is the centralization of Eskom with the maintenance service. A year and a half ago, I asked Eskom, what is your budget for the Overstrand? How many people do you have that work for Overstrand? What is your maintenance budget for Overstrand? What is your investment in the upgrade of your system so that it can grow the economies of my town? I'm still waiting. Perhaps they don't have it. So we will design it for you if you can't design it for us. And we can be angry and we can have all the wonderful plans in this world. If Eskom is not going to wake up and smell the roses, as my colleague has said, we stand in the street when the tires burn, 12 o'clock at night, 2 o'clock in the morning. We the ones that walk door to door from house to house. We the ones that see how people suffer. We the ones that have the additional risk of fires because people cannot afford to buy the electricity. We currently pay 55,000 rand a shot for the removal of illegal connections. And why are people doing illegal connections? Because many of them don't have to pay because they can't pay. Therefore, in my town, against the will of many, we've embarked on a program to electrify as many informal households as we possibly can. Just embarked on a program. We will be doing 550 houses in this financial year, and we've done 450 last year. And so little by little, we will ensure that people have dignity because they can put on their light switches themselves. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Helen, and fellow mayors for putting together this press briefing, and thank you to the members of the media for joining us. It's a pleasure to be here at the Drakenstein Wastewater Treatment Works, and I want to thank the staff of the city's Water and Sanitation Directorate and our Energy Directorate who have put together this really impressive project and who run it so well and who save our city a great deal of money, as Helen has set out, so that we can then in turn pass on that saving to customers in the city of Cape Town as we benefit from that energy saving. This small little solar farm behind us saves the city of Cape Town and our customers about 2.5 million rand a year just in energy costs. So you can imagine as these roll out to more and more of these wastewater treatment works around the city, how those savings multiply and compound in the favor of the public. And that is what we are here to talk about today. My colleagues have expressed very eloquently our united and strong opposition to this outrageous electricity price hike that is proposed, and the incredibly negative and deleterious effects that would have on the public in South Africa and how utterly unaffordable that is. And of course, we will all participate in the public hearings, which are coming up in the next weeks, and I'm sure we will do so vociferously. So I won't re-emphasize our strong opposition. But I do just want to say a word or two about the electricity pricing model in South Africa, because the next obvious question is sometimes, well, why doesn't the city or the municipality, the town, just take this increase upon itself and not pass it on to the customers? The fact is that in South Africa, municipalities are what we call price takers, not price makers. We take a price which is given to us by NERSA and which is mainly defined by the application, the price increase application submitted by Eskom every year. So the origin of the price increase every year is that Eskom tariff application. That is where it starts, and that is what defines the kind of upper and lower boundary, so to speak, of what the increase is going to be. Our electricity bills are so massive to Eskom. The city of Cape Town pays Eskom almost exactly 1 billion rand a month. So you can imagine a 40% increase on 1 billion rand a month is 400 million rand a month. That's the scale of the increase. So it is impossible, totally impossible for that to be absorbed. We have no option but to pass that on to the customers. And that's why I say we are price takers, not price makers. We take the price given to us by Eskom and NERSA. Now, that is why, even though we are now on day 200 and something of no load shedding, and touch wood, it never comes back again, we still have to proceed with absolute urgency to buy other sources of power and to diversify our power sources as quickly as possible, because increasingly in South Africa, in our society, in our politics, the number one issue is going to become the price of electricity. Just as the price of energy after the Ukraine war has become the number one issue in Europe and elsewhere, so the price of energy is going to become the number one issue in South African debates going forward, because Eskom is going to keep trying to pass down these enormous increases onto the public year after year until such time as that company is profitable. It may be the case that we are on day 250 or whatever it is of no load shedding, but it is also the case that Eskom is still fantastically unprofitable and enormously loss-making. And that, until that turns around, that company isn't really sustainable. And that is why these increases will keep coming. So I think the number one focus, priority for South African municipalities, and particularly DA-governed municipalities, must be to reduce our reliance on Eskom as quickly as possible, so that we can protect our residents from those enormous increases going forward. And that certainly is our priority, and that is why we are going to continue, regardless of whether there's load shedding or not, continue to expand our purchase of independent power and home power, embedded generation, as quickly as we can. Cape Town already has got a wheeling project up and running, as you know, and on the 1st of January that goes live for the general public. At the moment it is still a pilot up until the end of the year. We have 40 customers on that pilot, and we are satisfied that the pilot has been a success, and we can confirm that on the 1st of January it will go live for everyone. Our Cash for Power program is running and has worked well. And as Helen said, using that regulatory framework, we had a challenge for the last few years in that so many thousands of people were investing in solar power at their homes that it was taking very long in Cape Town to get approval. And some of you will have heard those stories of residents waiting 3, 4, 5 months to get approval to install a solar system. We have completely automated that system now. It is entirely online and has been for nearly a year. And it now takes 24 hours to get from time of application to permission to install, 24 hours. So we're trying to help people to get permission as quickly as possible so that they can reduce their own power bills. And of course, sell it back to us so that we can wheel it around the city grid and bring down the overall cost for everyone. And we're allowing people, as my colleagues have said as well, to offset their municipal bill. And once their municipal bill goes into the negative, in other words, the city actually owes them money, we pay them that money. And we are making those payments regularly. Now, we also have some exciting smaller projects like this one that all add up together to reduce our reliance on Eskom. For example, in a couple of weeks, I hope you will all join us again, where we are switching on our gas to power plant at the Coastal Park municipal dump, the landfill site. You know that landfill sites produce a great deal of gas, and usually that is just wasted into the atmosphere, and it's actually very harmful for the atmosphere. But now at Coastal Park, we are going to burn off that gas and turn it into electricity. And because unlike wastewater works like this one, wastewater works use a lot of electricity, landfill sites use very little electricity. So most of that energy at Coastal Park will be fed back into the city grid and will help our overall effort. Then I want to just finish by speaking specifically to what we are doing to try and protect the poorer residents in Cape Town from the impacts of these enormous unsustainable increases. This last year, in this year's budget, we increased the number of units at which our residents could buy and qualify for the Lifeline tariff. That is our cheapest and most subsidized tariff for those who are our poorest residents. It's called our Lifeline tariff. That Lifeline tariff used to be capped at 350 units per month. We have increased that to 600 units per month. That amounts to actually, just by coincidence, because Eskom has asked for a 44% tariff hike, it actually amounts to a 44% tariff reduction for those who had used more than 350 units, so they had clicked over into our domestic tariff, which is the next tariff band up. They then moved back down into the Lifeline tariff, and that gives them an effective 44% reduction in those tariffs. As you've heard, one of our colleagues, I think it was Mayor Korabie, They are providing 85 free units for indigent customers per month. That is extraordinarily generous of Drakenstein. In Cape Town, we provide 60 free units of electricity per month to indigent customers. We are only compensated by the national government via our equitable share for 50. The national norm is that we are supposed to provide 50 free units. Anything over and above that is paid for by the municipality. So we are paying for the additional 10 free units. Drakenstein is paying for the additional 35 free units. And we cover that in the cost of our overall tariffs. So just finally, the change that we made to our lifeline tariff amounts to an actual saving, a calculated actual saving of 114 Rand per month for a family living on the lifeline tariff who previously would have been knocked up into the domestic tariff and is now still able to access that cheapest tariff, 114 Rand per month saving for that family. So we are doing everything that we can. All of the power that we are buying from IPPs, all of the power that we are buying from individual households and businesses, all of the power that we are installing here at our wastewater works and other municipal facilities, everything that we can to reduce our reliance on Eskom over time so that we can see the price of power become more competitive and manageable for Cape Townian families over time. That will take some time. Cape Town uses 2.2 gigawatts during the evening peak. At 6 o'clock in the evening, we are using 2.2 gigawatts of power. It's an enormous power consumer. So it will take time to reduce that reliance on Eskom at the scale needed to actually turn around prices. But we are determined to get there. And of course, it becomes even more achievable as Eskom tries to pass on these enormous increases to the customer. But we will carry on doing all that we can to shield poorer residents in particular, because we know that these Eskom increases are totally unacceptable, unaffordable, and unfair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, colleagues. I certainly am looking forward to renewing my Democratic Alliance membership again, because DA governments always get things done, so that's super exciting. So, colleagues, I think the mayors were very clear in their submissions. I am, however, going to open up for a round of questions. As is standard protocol, please indicate your name, the media house that you represent, and to whom you are directing your question. I'll start with hands on this side. Any hands? Clarity on board? Anything online? We are super great, super exciting. I want to say once again to everybody tuning in at home, and those of you who are here today, thank you very much for affording us your ear and your eyes, for those of you watching. And remember, we still have a DA petition against this ridiculous hike. So I urge each and every one of you who haven't signed the petition yet or haven't told your friends about it, the petition is at stoppowergrab.da.org.za. That is stoppowergrab.da.org.za. Let's sign the petition. Let's get things rolling. Adios.
I am a mother. I am a father. I'm a daughter. I am a son. I believe in freedom. Freedom to earn a living. Go where I want. Love who I want. Say what I believe and pursue my dreams. I am brave. I am a provider. I believe in fairness. A fairness where our achievements are determined by our choices and hard work. I am a leader. I believe in opportunity. A nation where opportunity is plentiful. and everyone's rights are protected. I believe in diversity. Every person has a unique perspective and an important role to play in building our nation. We do not judge each other by how we look, but by who we are. We are South Africans working together. We are the Democratic Alliance.
Thanks for watching. All across our beautiful country, people are joining forces to elect the new government that can rescue South Africa. Like and follow us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Please share our videos with friends and family. Let's rescue South Africa.